Hey, Seattle hockey fans, it's another game day, and I am here live at TD Garden as the Seattle Kraken are taking on the top team in the league, the Boston Bruins. It's going to take a lot for Seattle to get a win here. We'll break down everything you need to know, the stats, the facts, and you'll hear from some Boston boys ahead of tonight's game in Beantown. That's coming up on Locked On Kraken.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are the Seattle Kraken.
Hey, what do you say, Seattle hockey fans? Happy game day. I'm your host, Erica L. Ayala, as I mentioned, coming to you live from TD Garden. So the light's not the most forgiving thing here, but we're having a good time. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily routine. I am here in TD Garden. Yes, literally in TD Garden right now in Boston, getting ready to bring you live coverage of the Seattle Kraken at Boston Bruins. So if you're not already, make sure you're following Locked On Kraken on Twitter in particular and all social media outlets. But let's get into what we really want to talk about here. We are on a 6-game, I think I said 5 yesterday, so that's my mistake. We are on a 6-game win streak coming into Boston, top team in the league. Did you get that? Top team in the league. And these are the kind of character wins that the Seattle Kraken are going to need if they're going to show that we are, again, contenders and not pretenders. I'm not too worried about us being pretenders at this time, but you still have to play like you want it. This isn't a game that's necessarily going to make or break Seattle when it comes to the playoffs, with the exception of you have to win these type of games if, again, you want to be a true contender. You got to beat teams that are ahead of you in the standings, and there's no one ahead of Boston right now. So let's get into this matchup a little bit for you here. We have the Boston Bruins, who we are going to face tonight. The Seattle Kraken are on that game-winning streak right now, and that's what we want. That's where we want to be. Overall record, 32-4-4 for Boston, 24-12-4 for Seattle. You can look at the home record for the Bruins. This is a hard place to play. The only losses that have come at home have taken overtime. Now, the Seattle Kraken have played their fair share of OT games, and we're a lot more comfortable doing that this year than we were last year. But it's still a steep hill to climb. We, of course, are 14-4-2 on the road. So pretty nice matchup in our last 10. We are 7-2-1. The Boston Bruins are 8-0-2. So 2 of those overtime losses have come in the last 10 games. Andre Burakovsky remains our leading scorer at 35 points. David Pastrnak at 58 points, leading scorer for the Bruins. Look at the power play, penalty kill breakdown. We know we've got a lot of work to do on the PK. That's going to be something that we're going to have to get going here, especially because we see what Boston is looking like on the penalty kill at 85.8% clip. We're at a 69.5% clip on the PK. Power play wise, we're at 22%, whereas the Bruins are at 28.2%. So let's take you over to the amazing Allison Lukan, who, by the way, I got to not only catch up with on the road. It's been, over a year since we saw each other in person. Of course, she's been on the podcast since we last saw in real life. But, it's always nice to catch up with folks on the road, as I got to today. So let's take you to Allison Lukan and her 3 essentials for today. The first is, of course, know your opponent. I like this here. As a group, the Bruins generate the highest amount of offense, both in terms of volume and quality. They can attack in any way, off the rush, off the cycle, off the forecheck or rebound, ranking top 3 in all categories except for forechecking. Now, we know that is the bread and butter. When the Seattle Kraken are playing at their best, they are able to create off of the forecheck. Boston doesn't have the puck. Their defense is also top tier. So again, a juggernaut of a team that we're going up against. So stay strong on the puck. This is extremely important and something that even if we're not playing the Bruins, I think that Seattle have to focus on. But according to Sports Logic, Seattle ranks first in goals scored off an opponent's turnover within 10 seconds. That's 50 goals scored within 10 seconds of a turnover. And they have allowed the third fewest. So there you go. Those are the stats. It's not just something that we got to do just within the mechanics of the game, but of course, Allison Lucan bringing us the analysis. And here you go. Play for one another. I like this one. And I think it goes to the team mentality that, again, when the Seattle Kraken are playing their best, they are focused on that team mentality. But Allison Lucan writes, after the Kraken are 5 games into a 7-game road trip. So they've got this one and Chicago coming up. They've won every contest thus far. There have been come from behind wins, hold the lead wins, and goals from 12, count them, 12 different skaters. These guys work hard together, said Dave Haxtell. They care about having success together. We won in Buffalo by being able to stick together and find a way to get it done. And you best believe they're going to have to stick together and find a way to get it done against Boston. Again, if you are not watching on YouTube and you want to check out Allison Lucan's work, make sure you check out the show notes. I will have that for you. But also, this is a homecoming for at least 2 members of the Seattle Kraken who have family ties to the area. And they're 2 of my favorites to talk about. So we're going to get into that. That's coming up next on Locked on Kraken. This episode of Locked on Kraken is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your fastest and easiest way to get everything that you need when it comes to sports betting. Now, we want you to do so responsibly, and that's why we're sending you to betonline.net. They have everything that you need: football, basketball. Of course, we focused on World Cup. They have future bets for the NHL. You can find it all there. And I know that you'll love sports podcasts. That's why you make Locked on Kraken a part of your daily routine. And so if that's your jam, then BetOnline has you covered there as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your sports betting info. Head to the website, use whatever you got, mobile device, laptop, desktop, anything in between, or all at the same time, and head over to BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you, as always, for making Locked on Kraken a part of your daily routine. As you can probably see, I am coming to you live from TD Garden. That's right, I'm here in Boston. I have a road trip here for Hockey East tomorrow and some other stuff coming up, but we'll talk about that. But so I was able to make the Kraken game here as they take on the Boston Bruins. In the first segment, we talked about some of the stats and facts that we need to know going into this game tonight. But you also need to know about 2 of my favorites. As if I didn't talk about them enough, it just so happens that they're also from the area, whether going to school here or growing up here, having family that's played in the franchise, playing here themselves. That's right. You know it. We're talking about Ryan Donato and Matty Beniers. We were able to talk to them at morning skate. We found out at morning skate that, yes, Ryan Donato will slot in today. So Morgan Geekie is the scratch. And it will be Martin Jones that gets the start for the Seattle Kraken. We saw what Grubauer was able to do, and I gave you my 2 cents on the Philip Grubauer versus Martin Jones situation, particularly coming from the fan base. So if you didn't hear that, go listen to yesterday's show of Locked on Kraken. But we're going to keep that to the side for right now and take you over to what Ryan Donato, said at morning skate today about coming back to Boston.
Well, what does it feel like to be back here?
I mean, it's always fun. Obviously, I play with a lot of the guys on the other side, and then I think the best part about it is spending time with friends and family, and, it's always exciting, but it's obviously tough. You got to focus, and there's obviously a big game at Matter, and I think, we did a good job of it. I had dinner with family last night, and now we're on to the game.
When you're on a long road trip like this, what does that do to have some time to spend time with people you love? And
yeah, absolutely. It's been a long road trip, and you spend a lot of time with the guys. And not that I don't love every single guy in here. I think every guy could, admit that they'd like to spend time with family if they could. And, I'm just lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to have family here. And able to have.
To throw them a recommendation.
I threw them a couple once because of the North. So that's where a lot of guys went to dinner last night. So.
You do know this team. What goes into your preparation to battle against a group that's playing so well right now?
I don't know. I think we've been playing really well too, right? So I think not being hard on ourselves. I think we got to be confident. Know that if we play the right way, we can play with anybody, especially teams of this nature. I mean, they're a very good team, but we also got to respect ourselves. And I think if we play and continue to play the right way that we have, things will happen, especially against good teams. And I know that if we don't show up and play the way that we have, it could go very poorly. So I think everybody knows that tonight's a big game.
Is there
what Ryan Donato is saying there? Yeah, we know this is a good team. All of the stats say that. Intuitively, you know that. This is an Original Six franchise. But the Seattle Kraken have been playing well as well. And you have to respect your game, respect your teammates, respect the work that you've put in coming into this, and really put that to task against a team that has played well, but is not infallible. So I always appreciate being able to have Ryan Donato on the show, but we also were able to catch up with Matty Beniers. Now, if you've been a longtime listener to Locked On Kraken, then you know that the last time Matty Beniers played here in Boston and at this rink was for none other than the Frozen Four as a part of the Michigan squad. I was here for that. That was my last time here, getting to catch up. Actually, it might not have been my last time here. My last time here was for Willie O'Ree's number retirement, so that was exciting. Anyway, Matty Beniers also spoke to media. Let's take you over to what he had to say after morning skate and who's coming to town to see him take on the Boston Bruins.
Not that I can really remember. I mean, I loved when I was growing up. I loved Lucic, watching him fight. I mean, I love Bergeron, Marchand, but those were probably the most memorable. The ones when he would fight. I remember actually it wasn't in this building. It was actually after Lucic hit one of the goalies and he had 3 fights. Yeah, that was fun, but that wasn't in here. But yeah, so that's it.
Was Lucic your favorite?
Probably Bergeron, but I liked all that team that won the cup. All those older guys, I love them. So yeah.
Matty, is this your first time back since Frozen 4?
Yep.
And I remember you said you had a lot of family in town. Is it more or less than for Frozen 4 for today?
I would say definitely more today, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, my whole family's coming, but a lot of people, that I know and from my town all reached out and, told me they're gonna come tonight, so it'll be cool.
Describe hometown for me.
Describe it. It's like 20 minutes away, right on the water. Pretty big hockey town, I would say. So, everyone's pretty involved, good community. Yeah.
How do you prepare to go against this team? What are the parts of your game and of this team's game that you want to be on point from the start?
I think we've been playing good hockey, so I think we got to keep that up. And these guys, are a team that are very sound defensively and offensively. So I think, we got to get to our game right away, and that is, playing hard, playing down low, doing the right. Donnie talked about it too, but that is going to be really important against a team like this because they'll make you pay if you don't. So,
Matty, going back.
All right, that's Matty Beniers. You heard him allude to something that Ryan Donato said, but they know it's going to be important. And coming up next on Locked On Kraken, I'm going to give you the numbers, the breakdowns, and maybe some things to watch for as we're watching tonight's game that, at least statistically, might speak to trends that will bode well for the Seattle Kraken. But first, let me tell you that this episode of Locked On Kraken is brought to you by none other than Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat but don't want all of the fat and calories, then you gotta try Built Bar. And They come in unbelievable flavors. We've talked about them before. The peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, the churro, the double chocolate is always a favorite of mine. And usually I send you to built.com to get these. But now, in case you didn't know, you can head to your local Walmart or Sam's Club. If you head to Walmart, you can now get a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, my favorite, double chocolate, or the coconut puff. And if you're close to Sam's Club, you can run in and get a 13-bar box with hit flavors like brownie batter, yum, and churro. And of course, you will definitely thank me later for this. But I've told you about Built Bar before. You're not going to want to miss it. One of the best selling points is that all of the bars are covered in 100% chocolate while being packed with protein and low on sugar, carbs, and calories. So head over to Built.com or to your local Walmart or to Sam's Club and pick up a Built Bar. And as I like to say, happy snacking. Thank you again, fans and friends, for listening to Locked On Kraken and making us a part of your daily routine. Thanks also for sticking with me as I'm on the road. You'll notice, obviously, that my setup changes from day to day. I've had some delays, but I appreciate those who are rocking with me on Locked On Kraken. A reminder to stay up to date with what I'm doing in Beantown and then beyond. Make sure you're following at Locked On Kraken, particularly on Twitter, but we're also on Instagram and, of course, on YouTube. Earlier today, before recording, I was able to sit down with JT Brown. So you're not going to want to miss our conversation. That will be coming up next week. We've got lots of goodies for you now that I've caught up with the team on the road. So you're not going to want to miss any of it. Make sure you're subscribed and that you are commenting. That's how we get Locked On Kraken as a part of, just the conversation when it comes to the Seattle Kraken. This is going to be a big one, folks. And I want to take you to some of the game notes that we have here. Now, I told you, this is a tough team. Usually the Seattle Kraken, we do really well when we are leading after the first period. In fact, we are 9-2-1 when leading after the first period. We are 11-3-2 when tied after the first period. That's the good news. And we also want to keep those numbers on our side because the Boston Bruins, when leading after the first period, are undefeated 19-0-0. They are 6-2-1 when trailing after the first period and 7-2-3 when they're tied. When we're leading after the second, we're 16-1-2. When the Boston Bruins are leading after the second, they're 21-0-1. Now, here's something interesting. When we're trailing after two, we're 2-9-0. When Boston's trailing, they're 3s across the board. So that's the stat that I want to keep an eye on. It's going to be very interesting to see which team, if either one, is trailing after 2 periods. And we certainly don't want it to be us. And then, of course, there's the overtime record this season. 4-4 for the Seattle Kraken, 5-4 for Boston. So, again, another stat that's a little bit more equalized than some of the other ones that we've seen. And I'm not saying we want to go into overtime, but as we talked about earlier, that's what it takes to beat this Boston team, especially at home. So now you have the stats, you have the facts, and now it's time to get the boys to get it done. I want to know, where are you rooting from? What are you wearing? Have you saged your favorite outfit? What's going on? As I said, I'm here at TD Garden, so it's going to be a good time. But I got to get going. We're going to have the puck drop here shortly. But as always, thank you for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily routine. If you're not already listening to Locked On NHL Prospects, what the heck are you waiting for? I mean, we've got so much to talk about coming off the heels of World Juniors, a lot of OHL teams making crazy trades. So go check that out with Hadi Kalikesh. And, of course, like I said, we'll have him back on the show very soon. You're not going to want to miss tomorrow's episode. I broke the news earlier with Jason Hernandez that he is the new voice, the PA announcer for our very own Coachella Valley Firebirds. Learn a little bit more about his path to that role and his journey in hockey. That's coming up tomorrow. And, of course, we'll give you some updates. We have Firebirds All-Stars. We talked a little bit about Matty Beniers being an NHL All-Star. Talked a little bit about Shane Wright and his trade. So got a little bit to talk about, and of course, the results of tonight's game. As we always do, be kind to yourself and to each other. We hold fast, we stay true, and loud and proud tonight, we say, let's go Kraken. Until tomorrow, Erica L. Ayala, your host of Locked On Kraken, signing out.